sorry, I thought we. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're kind of catching up because last class we spoke about the ego, the inclinations. We spoke a little bit about the Yetzer Tov, the good inclination, and the Yetzer Hara, the bad inclination. So we're kind of going off that, what we learned last week, but this is actually a brand new chapter, which is called in Strive for Truth, which is what we're using for the chapters. It's called The Best Protection is Torah Study and the Service of God. And I love this because it really, especially now with the with the big challenge that was hit in my family with my sister, I see how much the Torah gives us protection for everyday life. When we're going through challenges, it's almost like a cushion. It really helps you transform what is so difficult into something, number one, that is meaningful, not necessarily easier, but more meaningful, which in a way just really helps you overcome anything that you think you can't. And I gave a shiur. We did a challah bake at the Chabad of Golden Beach for my sister right before Chag. It was very special. And I explained that there's a lot of people today that are still not close to Hashem. They're still not religious. There's no relationship with the Torah. And I said, get ready because there's no life without challenges. There's no life without the Yetzer Hara constantly, you're constantly battling it. There's no one that has the perfect life. And so I said, when you don't have Torah as your protection and your guidance in life to tell you what to do in these situations, you're not going to be ready for it. I said when Shani got her diagnosis, my sister, and when we all heard of that, we were able to, of course, it was very hard, but we were able to carry it in a way where it was meaningful. We were positive. We sang, we danced. Raquel can tell you, she's my sister, and you're a witness to it. We were able to have this strength that is unimaginable, unimaginable. And I said, why did we have that strength? Not because today I decided to listen to a shul Torah, because 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 7 years ago, we started our journeys connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, learning Torah, doing shurim, reaching out to rabbis every time we had questions, really strengthening ourselves and our emunah, because this is where it's needed in the most difficult challenges where you would never think you would be in such a situation that you need to handle, and you handle it. And when I was talking in that holiday, I said, I'm not standing here crying, freaking out, waking up with nightmares. Sometimes I wake up with nightmares. Of course, it's very hard, and there's always the struggle, but you have a cushion. You're able to handle it because Torah is really your protection. So it's so funny that this is actually the chapter of this week, but really, you cannot live without Torah. And I said, for those people who are just starting, who are not so religious yet, who want to get close to Hashem, I said, start somewhere, because you're going to have that day where it hits, where there's a challenge that you're like, whoa, I didn't expect this. And how are you going to prepare for it? If there's no Torah in your life, it's very difficult. I really don't know how people live without Torah and how people live, especially in this generation, in this time, in this struggle where there's so much darkness and no clarity, to not have Hashem to guide you and to be there for you, and to not have tefillah. Forget about guidance. Tefillah, to be able to pray and to say, B'ezrat Hashem, everything's going to be okay, is, for me, that's everything. I can't imagine life without that. So that was just number one. So let me go back to, I don't want to miss my spot here. Okay. Yes,
Can I ask a question?
yes, of course.
I know that you're very open to, I'm going to ask you a vulnerable question.
Of course.
How did you guys start your journey? I'm very impressed.
Well, you're saying me personally? Like, I don't.
You and your family. I saw your mom. I saw your sisters. In this moment of deep pain, how you are so strongly attached to that cord that is shaking. Remember,
Yeah.
we
Oh,
shared
yeah.
one
Yeah.
evening for La Khashat Khala by Ashley, I think. or
Yes. Could
You
be.
were mentioning the covenant of Mashiach that is shaken by the Baruch Hu to hang out to the
Oh, I think it was Audrey's.
audience.
Audrey's Afashat Chala. Yeah. Do you want to answer that? I feel like you
You
would
answer.
know.
I'm like,
Uh,
you were more than me.
so you're saying like you want to talk about like Shani specifically or like me myself? I always say I'm very open with my story, but when I went to study in Israel, I was not so like we always kept Shabbat and kosher, but I wasn't so religious, and I actually was afraid of going to Israel because we were always like in this like bubble here, and then suddenly I have all this freedom. For those of you who know me, when I was younger, my dad didn't even let me sleep out. Like he didn't let me go out anywhere. He was very, very strict with me. So suddenly I'm having like no boundaries. I could do whatever I want. I have my own apartment in Tel Aviv. It was like it's almost like stressful because you're in an environment where there's no religion. And then I unfortunately went through like a very abusive relationship, emotionally abusive, not anything physical, but he actually was in yeshiva. I met this person in yeshiva and we started learning Gemara together. We were like Shomer Negia. It was like a very, very pure, in the beginning, it was a very pure relationship. And he would teach me Torah and we would learn Gemara. And I learned another world. I was like, oh my gosh, like what is this? It was just, it's still 22, 22, 23. It's still in his merit today that I want to say that he, all of this is really, it's crazy that it was like something bad, but the greatest gift I ever got, right? And then he ended up going in the army, and the army just completely switched his whole mindset. And unfortunately, even today, I see like he's not religious anymore. Nothing, no kippah, no tzitzi, nothing. And I said, I literally have chills because I'm like, it was the exact opposite because I was like that and I became like this and he became like that. Um, it really was in his merit, but he also introduced me to a Rabbanit that lives in Ramot in Yerushalayim. And I would go from Herzliya. If you guys know the map of Israel, it's very, very far from Jerusalem. So I would take 3 buses to get to her every Wednesday, and I would spend the day. No, at that time, no. It's Betty Cohen. Betty Cohen, yeah. Very, very special, and she's French. And through him, I met her. And then when we were not together anymore, I would go to her for strength because it was very hard for me. For me, it was my soulmate. It was my. And I would think Hashem every day, I'm like, I found my soulmate, I found my other half, and it was not him. So you never know. But I would go and study with her every week. And I would go from like 10 in the morning to 10 at night, like just all day, just like getting her Torah because when you see simple Torah, not like, we're in Miami, so we see the material, but like we're talking about a house, 12 kids, 3 bedrooms, no AC, like fans running around. The kids, I'm wearing nail polish, they don't know what that is. Her grandson running around going, I want to be like the Chafetz Chaim. Like that was it was simple, pure, undiluted Torah. And that was the greatest gift of my life was to be able to just be in her home. There's what David HaMelech says, Shifti bevet Hashem kol yemei chayai. I want to dwell in the home of Hashem all my life. That's what I felt in that moment at our home. I'm still in touch with her today, but we're both busy, but she's an unbelievable woman, and she really integrated the Torah in my life, and really it's also thanks to her, of course, that I have that love for Hashem because she really changed everything for me. Yeah, and just to share like one last thing, but when we had Yom Kippur there in Israel, I told my parents, they were obviously still living here, and they said, come for the holidays. I said, I want to do Yom Kippur with Betty, my Rabbanit. And they were like, wow. I was like, I want to experience like the real pure Yom Kippur. Like, what is it like in Ramot Dalet in the mountains in Jerusalem? Like, I want to know. And so her daughter was maybe 10, 11, 4 in the morning, Yom Kippur day. I'm sleeping and she goes, Shacharit. I'm like, yes. She's like, wake up, we're starting Shacharit. And I'm like, it's 4 in the morning, it's dark out. She's like, yeah. And she's already dressed, ready to go. Sorry, I didn't mention this right before. When I got there, right before Yom Kippur was starting, I see her 17-year-old. His name is Rafael, very special individual. he was walking and very, very stressed right before Purim. So I said, Betty, what's going on? Like, why is he freaking out? She's like, he said he's not ready for Kippur. Like, he's just like, he's very stressed. I never saw a 17-year-old so mature and so connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that he had fear. He had literal fear of going into Yom Kippur because he wasn't ready. And I saw like stress on his face, and I was like, unimaginable. Unimaginable. So yeah, spending the Kippur there was incredible. It was very, very special. But yeah, when you see the undiluted Torah, it's another life. Thank God.
Thank you for sharing.
But yeah,
Really,
Baruch
yeah.
Hashem, yeah, thank God. And then Shani has her own story, but she's
Kind of
always connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And I always say, the second she got married, it wasn't even a question that she's gonna cover her hair. Like the second she got married, she covered her hair. And me, it till today, I'm like struggling with it. It's been 7, 8 years. And she right away, it wasn't even a question.
Seeing her like Rabbi Garrido. Probably right after her wedding, she was at a class by Rabbi Garrido in Hollywood. And she so royal.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was she was always very, very connected to Hashem, thank God. And she went to seminary in Israel, and she was very, I know her whole seminary till today, they're praying for her. There's like 100 girls praying for her every day. Yeah, they're very, very special. She's very connected to the rabbi there, but everyone in their own way. But it's life changing. It's life changing to have Torah in your life, and to have that connection is really everything. Baruch Hashem, thank God.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of
Sorry
course.
to interrupt.
That was it wasn't vulnerable. I'm like so happy I was able to share. And we have Shavuot soon. I know you're gonna tell your story again, I feel, because last time I was crying so much, and I remember it was on Shavuot. Very special. Also, Baruch Hashem. Everybody, I'm sure, has their own story. So back to Torah's protection, and we're gonna talk about the battle that we have with the Yetzer Hara, right? And there's so much distractions and challenges and noise. Sometimes I say, sometimes I'm like, okay, I just want to like sit and learn Torah for a minute, like just to open a book, and then I get a phone call, and then I have a doctor's appointment, and then this one doesn't feel good, and then they call me from school, and then my husband needs something. So many things, not in a bad way, of course, we're all busy, Baruch Hashem, but there's always distractions, right? And then the Yetzer also likes to, get in there and make it even more agitated. So Rabbi Dessler explains that before the sin of Etz Hadat, when we had the tree of knowledge and Chavai from the tree, so the Yetzer Hara was actually outside a person. Okay, it was its own entity. And the minute that we had the sin of Adam and Chava, it actually merged inside us. Okay, so it's no longer, oh, you're trying to get me to sin. It's no, I want to sin. It's part of us. It's infused in us. And we spoke about it last class, which was really, really interesting. It's probably, I need to refresh it because it was a while ago. But we were talking how the Yetzer is the best attorney there is. Okay, because you're constantly like battling with it, and he rationalizes it in a way where you're like, oh, it's not even a sin. It's not even bad. Oh, it's me. It's normal, right? So what do you think? That it's not the Yetzer? You can't even recognize the Yetzer. That's the issue. You can't even recognize that it's him talking and not you, because it's literally part of you. And that's where the issue is. That's the battle, because you're literally battling with yourself. It's not something that's an external force. Okay, so the enemy isn't like, oh, someone's at the gate waiting with like a gun. No, it doesn't appear like that. It's actually, he lives inside the home, mixed into our desires, our excuses, our habits, right? The enemy is part of us. So it makes it very, very difficult to differentiate between what is good and what is bad, because he's such a good attorney, he's such a good lawyer, that he convinces us that, it's just one time, it's not a big deal, no one's watching. It's not going to change your values and beliefs if you do this only one time, only one when no one's watching. You understand? So he rationalizes it into thinking like, oh yeah, you're right. It's nothing. It's not a big deal. It's the same thing. Like, for example, when we talk about Sharone, we're like, okay, but I need to vent. Like, I have to. It's going to make me feel better. Yes, but at what cost? At what cost? Is it going to now tarnish someone's name? Right? So he works in a way where he says, no, it's not bad. You actually have to do it. It's actually a mitzvah, right? So this is the issue. This is the battle that we have. So Rabbi Deso actually refuses to let us think about the Yetzer Hara in such a simple way, right? It's not just, oh, it's evil, let's fight it. No, that's not actually how it works. So he explains that the Yetzer Hara's ultimate purpose is called Hasagat Atov, which is very confusing because it means attaining the good. So you're like, 1 second, I'm battling with the bad, but then it's he wants me to be good. So how does that make sense? It's very contradicting. So basically, what he says is that it's sent from Hashem. The Yetzer Hara was created by Hashem. I'm going to go into the exact phrase that Hashem uses. It's actually very, very interesting of when he created the Yetzer Hara. But they explain that Rabbi Desser explains that it was sent by Hashem, and it's actually the source of all good is the Yetzer Hara. It's very confusing. We'll go into it. So even the Yetzer Hara actually can point us towards the truth, okay? But we have to do the opposite of what it says. Okay, I'll explain it. So it's the Yetzer Hara is really in disguise because he can lead us to do something wrong, but if we channel it in the right way, we can be using it to actually transform ourselves. Okay, so if imagine right now a world where there's no Yetzer Hara, right, and it's only good, we would be like angels. There's no battle, there's no fighting, there's no transformation, there's no change. So like there's nothing going on with you. You don't create that bond with HaKadosh Baruch Hu without challenges. You don't create that bond with HaKadosh Baruch Hu when you're comfortable. It's when you do what we mentioned before with Rabbi Das, where he calls it Nekudat HaBechira, the point of choice, where it's really, really hard, right? You're about to say the juiciest gossip, and you're like, no, 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 don't do it. Don't do it. And you don't do it. This is where you took the Yetzer Hara and you transformed it, right? And this is where you're like, wow, I was able to hold my tongue. Wow, maybe next time I'll be able to do less Lashon Hara. So you're able to literally take the bad and transform it into the good. Okay, so he brings a story of Yaakov when he's wrestling with the angel. So what happened with Yaakov? Yaakov was always afraid. Atzileni miyad Esav. He says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Abba, please save me from the hands of Esav, my brother. He was always so fearful of his brother because his brother, he heard that he's sending hundreds of men to come and fight him. So he's now freaking out. And at one point, he was camped outside and he had forgotten something across the river. So he had to go across the river and he was by himself because his army was camped on the other side. And this is where Hashem sent an angel to wrestle with Yaakov, right? It was almost like he thought it was Esav, but it wasn't. And he's wrestling with him the entire night, okay? And he explains that when the angel asked to be released at dawn, right after they were wrestling, Rashi says he had to sing something called the Shira. Does anybody know the Shira? It's a very special like segula prayer. The Shira is the songs of like all the creations of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, singing praise to Hashem. So why? Because the angel's purpose was fulfilled. He had been defeated by Yaakov. The defeat was the whole point of the angel being there, right? It looks bad because he's wrestling with Yaakov all these, but really the entire point was the defeat, was the fact that Yaakov was able to overcome the fear. And immediately the Torah records, Yaakov arrived shalem. He arrived whole because he was able to overcome that wrestling, that battle, right? So this is a way where we're comparing and contrasting the Yetzer Hara with the story of Yaakov and the angel. Okay, so the struggle is what created the wholeness, but it only works if you're equipped to push back. So the Yetzer Hara could bother us all day, and it's like I said, Torah is your protection. The minute that you have Torah, with whatever you're being pushed against, you have the tools to fight the Yetzer Hara. The equipment is the Torah. If you're equipped, you'll pass. But if you're not, and you don't have Torah in your life, like I explained, and you're not prepared for the challenges, it's very, very difficult. It's very difficult not to fail. Okay, so the pasuk where HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they show us that Hashem created the Yetzer Hara, okay, is in Kiddushin, where he says, Barati yetzer hara, barati li Torah tavlin. Okay, what does he say? I created the yetzer hara, and I created the Torah as its spice.
Oh, no way he says that.
Yeah,
Hashem said that?
in Kiddushin, yeah. So what word would you expect here? You say, okay, HaKadosh Baruch. Yeah, so he says, I created the Yetzer Hara. Now, by the way, this is a huge thing. When Hashem says, I created the evil inclination, that means every single bad thought that comes into our head is from Hashem. It's not us. And that's huge because for people who are depressed, who have anxiety, who have intrusive thoughts, they think it's them, but it's not. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu trying to have you wrestle with it so that you can become better and that you won't have anxiety and depression. You understand? So the bad is in itself good. So he says, I created the Yetzer Hara and I created the Torah as its tavlin. Tavlin means a spice. So now you would think, okay, you created the Yetzer Hara, so you created the remedy. That would be the word that you would use. I created the Yetzer Hara and I created a weapon. I created a refuah, like a cure. I created a shield, right? So why would he use the word spice? Any ideas? What does a spice do?
Reveals the taste of it.
Okay, what else?
Enhance it.
When you, yes. So when you like, okay, let's say I'm making Shani loves my French rose that I make, and I always like, they always say, well, the best chef here is Mylène. Let me just say, my husband always talks about her cooking, so I'm sure you know how to spice well, but the spices, what do? They enhance the flavor, but they don't take away a flavor of something else, meaning that it's always there. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I created the Yetzer Hara and I created the Torah as its spice, meaning it's not to take away the Yetzer Hara. When you're learning Torah, you're not removing it. You're just enhancing it. You're rechanneling it to something else. So meaning it works with what's there. So a spice doesn't remove, it works with what's there. It doesn't eliminate the meat. It transforms the way the meat is experienced. Okay, that's one. Then a spice refines, like you said. Raw food without spice can be like almost inedible, right? It's gross. But the minute that you add spices, it draws out the good that was always there. But you needed that like little salt and pepper, right? Like for example, I'm obsessed with lamb chops. Like that's my obsession. So when we barbecue it, like you just need a little bit of salt and pepper. If there isn't, it's not the same.
But can
It's
you
not the same
explain
meat.
practical?
I have examples. So, and then lastly, a spice has to be measured. Too little doesn't really have much effect, and too much, it overwhelms the dish. Okay, so the measure of it also matters. Okay, so they explain that the Yetzer Hara, it's not purely corrupt, right? We're saying that we're not saying that we're taking away the meat from the dish when you're adding a spice. You're not taking away the flavor of the meat. You're just enhancing the flavor. Meaning that he's saying the Yetzer Hara is not bad. It's here to help you transform and become. But it's what tool are you going to use to channel it? So he says, use the spices, which is the Torah, in order to enhance the experience. We cannot enhance any negative experience if we don't have Torah. It's impossible because the Torah channels us in a way where we're like, oh, there's actually meaning in what's happening. There's meaning in my suffering. The most terrible place to be in, I think, is to suffer but not have meaning, right? And I think this happened with Paro in Egypt when he would take the Bnei Israel and he would have them do the most difficult work and then redo it again so that they would feel like there was no productivity. And it's the worst feeling because it's just meaningless. Their work was meaningless, so it made it even harder for them. They suffered even more than they were supposed to. It's like me telling it's when Paro was telling them, for example, I want you to build I don't know, a building. Okay, so it took them, let's say, 2 months. He goes, okay, now I want you to destroy it. Now build it again. Can you imagine? Instead of having it built and at least people use it, so at least they felt like they did something with their hands. The worst thing really we can come to is to have a challenge, to have a difficulty in life and not have meaning and not give like a symbolism to our suffering. This is not symbolism, is that a word? That's a word, right? Okay. So Torah doesn't destroy the drive, it seasons the drive, right? like how I explained with every time that we hold our tongue, every time that we have a certain inclination to do something and we don't end up doing it, or our husband comes home and we've been with the kids all day and we're exhausted and we how are you, babe? How was your day? Right? Instead of being like, take the kids, I'm tired. There's so many justifications in life in general with the kids, with the husband, for even women who are not married and are single, right? There's always these like negative thoughts, negative habits. We're just constantly surrounded by these challenges. But if we don't know how to channel them, we're like, okay, but it's for a reason. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has his timing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows what he's doing. The yetzer, that intrusive thought, is meant for me to be able to learn how to overcome the thought, or else it'll never go away. It's not going to go away unless we use the Torah as a tool for us to channel it. Okay, so it's never going away. The meat is not going away. We have to season it in a way where it's going to be tasteful. Okay. So the Gemara goes even deeper, and they give a meaning. They give an image. I'm sorry. So a father strikes his son, and he wounds him. Okay, I'm not for abuse here, but this is just the example they gave. He places a bandage on the wound of his child, and he says, "My son, as long as the bandage stays on, you can eat what you want, drink what you want, do what you want, bathe in cold or hot water. Don't be scared. It's gonna heal. But if you take it off, the wound is going to become infected. So leave the band-aid on." So Hashem says the same. I created the Yetzer Hara, and that's the wound. I wounded you, right? I bashed you. But I created the Torah as its healing, and that's the band-aid. So as long as you're engaged in Torah, you will not be surrendered to the Yetzer Hara. But if you remove the band-aid, that's where things get infected. It becomes dangerous. So Hashem said, I created the Yetzer Hara. Yes, I created the bad, so to speak, but it's for you to use the Torah. But I gave you something to fix it, to spice it up. So the father in the parable is the one who struck the son, which is Hashem is taking ownership. He's saying, Ani barati et hayetzer hara. I created the bad, the evil inclination, but he also created the bandage. Okay, so it's not like an accident in creation, right? It's the way it's designed. It's for us. So another important point is that the Torah, it's not enough to just say, okay, I'm going to go to Shir Torah and get inspired, and then you go home and nothing happens, right? You have to really integrate the Torah in your everyday life. And so here, Rabbi Dessler, he goes a little bit further, and he says, like I mentioned, it's not enough to just learn Torah. The protection is through the integration. Okay, so and this is where we learn about the free choice, right? The time where every time something is really, really difficult for us and we're able to restrain ourselves, every single restraint is that point of choice where we're actually building our transformation over time. It's not like one big choice in life and that's it, like we're good people, right? It's everyday choices that accumulate over time, and then you're just a completely different person. The desires and the challenges that I had 10 years ago when I wasn't religious will not really touch me now because I'm in another level. So the Yetzer Hara is also comes based on your level, right? He'll give you the challenges that, like, for example, right now, the Yetzer Hara is not going to whisper in my ear, go eat a cheeseburger. It's not going to help. I'm not going to go eat a cheeseburger. He knows what level you're at. He knows where to test you in every little thing, right? Someone who's just starting out and never ate kosher, yeah, that's going to be a big test for them. It's going to be a big challenge not to go to McDonald's and get I don't know what they have there, but the cheeseburgers and fries drive-through. That's like a thing for people to go at 2 a.m. after they went clubbing, like, but oh my God, huh?
I don't even eat meat now, but I used to do that when I was young.
Like we would go, like I remember in Israel, like we would go to like a club back in the day, and then like 2 a.m. you're getting like shawarma wraps, I'm like, oh my God. But yeah, like that was a thing. But today, no, that's not going to be my challenge. My challenge will be maybe with my kids, with my husband, with my relationships with my friends, my relationship with myself, because we have like a lot of identity issues, especially in motherhood, and you lose your previous self. So you're like, who am I now? Am I just a mom? Like, well, what about me? So there's a lot of challenges that we go through, but the Yetzer Hara will adapt to everyone's different circumstances and different levels. So he explains that a person can be in yeshiva all day, they give shurim, they know the whole Torah, but they could still be dominated by the Yetzer Hara in their relationships, in business, in moments where no one's looking, right? And it's when the Torah doesn't really enter you and you don't really battle with the Yetzer so much. You're just like, okay, I did a shiur today, all is good. No, you have to constantly refine yourself. And by the way, these books, The Strive for Truth, is all about refining your character traits. I think that's one of the most important things. That's the way you integrate Torah. It's not just by learning in yeshiva all day. I see many people who are in yeshiva all day and they don't know what it is. Love your neighbor like yourself. They don't know what that is. They can't respect other people. Everybody with their own challenges, but really, it's a very important aspect to know how to know how to transmit the Torah in a way where it really you're integrating it in your life. So I want to give examples of of how the Yetzer Hara attacks, but in everyday life. Okay, and these are examples where like the Yetzer Hara is part of you. It's not like a separate piece or entity. Okay, so an example in marriage. There's a lot of people that say like we've been married for 20 years. He should already know by now what I need. Like, why do I have to tell him every time? And I tell people, tell your husband what you want for your anniversary. They're not gonna know. There are some husbands you're lucky enough that they're very romantic and they know and they pay attention to detail, but most men don't. So you just have to tell them, okay, what's the big deal? So tell them. Like, I know you want to be surprised and the whole thing, or tell your sister to tell him, if you want the element of surprise. But there are people who really genuinely get like overwhelmed by it and they get upset and they won't talk to their husband for months because he didn't get them the right flowers. There's so many worse things in life, like Baruch Hashem, like, like it's get over it kind of thing, So the Yetzer Hara, what does he do? He uses legitimate hurt to justify withholding, meaning let's say, okay, your husband got you the wrong flowers, okay, so you don't say anything. You're like, okay, like thank you so much, whatever. But then like you're angry inside. Yeah, you hold resentment. And then like Shabbat, you're like not as talkative. And you didn't make his favorite dish because you're pissed at him because of the flowers, right? So the Yetzer will tell you, well, yeah, you're right. Why do you have to tell him every time? Shouldn't he know your favorite flowers by now? It's you talking, but really it's the Yetzer talking, right? So it's literally a part of you. And you have to recognize when it's the Yetzer or when it's you. And how can you channel it in a way where you're learning? So meaning like the Yetzer could say, oh, but he should know by now. Whatever. Okay, but he's a guy. Okay, but he's a man. So you have to know also how to talk to it in a way where you're not freaking out over the fact that he didn't get you. Go to your flower shop and then you can give some advice. But another thing, after everything I do for this family, I deserve to unwind and just scroll on my phone, right? We have that a lot where we have like such a long day. We're just like, just want to be in bed and do nothing, right? It's my time. Okay. So what's really happening? Rest is totally, by the way, necessary. I'm all for like me time and having all that. But when you have 2 hours of going on TikTok for no reason, right? Or on Instagram, that's not rest. It's just, you're just kind of like avoiding everything and you're kind of just escaping, right? The Yetzer Hara uses this like need for rest and he says, okay, you're allowed to scroll on your phone for 2 hours. But no, shouldn't you be doing something a little bit better that will actually genuinely allow you to rest, like going to sleep, right? Or taking a nap. So he uses like rationalizations in a way where it's like, no, I need the rest. I need me time. Oh, for sure you need the me time. But how are you using the me time? Right? I'm not gonna apologize first. I'm not wrong. Okay, I'm talking about this specifically only in marriage. So even if the person is right, let's say even the wife is right, the Yetzer Hara, what is he doing? He's weaponizing being right to protect the ego, but at the cost of Shalom Bait. Okay, so being right and being good are not always the same thing. And I always say this when, in my humble opinion, I've only been married 7 years, but I always say, in marriage, there are situations where you're right and your husband is right at the same time. So what do you do then? Right? There are literal situations, huh?
You make space to hold this
Exactly.
reality.
Exactly. And I say there are literally going to be times in your life where you are right and your husband is right too. So then what? You understand? So you have to be able to hold the fact that, okay, this time you let it slide. This time you sacrifice. This time you let him have his boys' night or whatever it is. Hi, my love. Okay, so that's in marriage. Okay, with kids. This is another example. I'll have the real conversation with her when things calm down. Now is not the right moment, right? Especially with teenagers. Now that we're dealing, well, I'm not dealing with it yet, but very scared to deal with it. Um, Even when your kids are older, right? I'll have that conversation later. Like, I don't want to deal with it now, like when they're more calm. And then you end up just avoiding and avoiding and avoiding. So what happens? The right moment never comes. And then the Yetzer Hara uses the language of wisdom and timing to create this delay on things that matter so much. You're like, no, no, another time I'm tired now. No, another time she's like kind of angry right now. She's in a bad mood, right? The Yetzer uses all these excuses, and we don't realize. And it's not us. It's Hashem's trying to tell you, no, now is the right time. Channel it. I'm not going to be like my mom. My kids should feel free. I don't want to pressure them to be religious. Look what he's doing here. A real and valid wound from childhood is being used, okay, meaning like somebody has a trauma from childhood with religion, okay? It's being used to justify stepping back from the transmission of Torah values. Look at what it's doing. He's saying you were wounded as a kid, you were pushed to do Torah and mitzvot. Don't teach that to your kids. Let them do what they want. Okay, but it's your job. It's your role. So then teach it in a way where your kids will love the Torah. But it doesn't mean that that's not your role anymore because you were traumatized as a kid. So the Yetzer Hara is very, very smart how he justifies. So healing your past is important, but it's being confused with your role. Your role is always going to be to transmit the Torah. How you're going to transmit it, maybe okay, you don't want to be like your mom or your dad or how they were when they transmitted the Torah, but you still have to transmit it. It's still a responsibility.
Kind of think of it like when people are like let's say they grow up getting bullied and so that they become bullies, or you can just be like super nice and like never make someone feel that way.
Right, exactly.
Kind of hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They say the oppressed become the oppressors.
Mhm.
And we definitely don't want that. Just because someone did something wrong, even though they tried their best when you were a child, doesn't mean that that means the rest of your life your kids have to suffer for that. Right? So the Yetzer Hara really knows how to trick you and rationalize. Or you say, oh, he's such a good boy. I don't want to make a big deal about this one thing. Right? When they call you from school and they're like, oh, your son is having a hard time, whatever. No, no, he's a good kid. Like everything's fine. Okay? So love for your child is real, of course, but the Yetzer Hara is using that love to avoid the discomfort of like a parenting moment where your child needs you and you're like, no, no, it's fine. Like he'll grow out of it. He'll be fine. Like my son, for example, my oldest son, sometimes he has a lot of anger for no reason. He'll wake up in the morning and he's angry and he throws a chair. I'm like, what I do, it's not what I did. Something internally is going on. And instead of me saying, okay, he's gonna grow out. No, you have to help him overcome that and understand where it's coming from, right? So the Yetzer Hara will say, he just needs love. He just needs a hug. He's a good boy. It's not a big deal. He's gonna grow out of it. But no, like maybe he needs a little bit more guidance, a little bit more help. You need to hire someone to help him figure out why he's angry. A lot of that happens.
You don't think it's it, some kids are like that. Also, like you
Could be a
can't
personality, could be
yeah.
a personality thing, but I don't know when it's happening a lot and for no reason. I don't know. I would want to like try to help him because if you have that much anger as a 6-year-old and you haven't started life yet, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. What did we start, Raquel?
I start opposite.
Oh, really? Oh, funny.
We're the same.
Yeah. When you're in a relationship with other women or friends, I'm not speaking Lashon Hara. I gave this example already. I'm just venting, right? She really did treat me badly, so I should warn other people. No, right? Like you have to be able to, if somebody treats you wrong, to be able to handle that on your own and not have to vent it to half the world. And if you do have to vent, they say apparently, I don't know, I didn't really read the exact halakha, but it should be like to one person. Don't start telling 7 other people, right? It could be like that one designated person that you want them to be objective about the situation. But really, overall, the Yetzer Hara is going to push you and say, well, I need to vent. It's healthy for me. It's not healthy to hold it inside.
But like you're speaking to around.
I don't know the rules of the Ilchot Lashon Hara. I think we have to start doing the Chafetz Chaim again. But I know that there is a way to get like
7 rules of the how to express it. Definitely, if you go to your Rav because you need advice, that's a
Then you're
different
allowed.
totally, and it's a different setting, and it's private, and it's in the objective of fixing something,
Right.
whether it's in your heart or, so it's a totally.
It's not bad intention.
And I think the hardest one is with family because like you want to get advice about something that let's say like your husband did and you know if it's right or wrong and you're kind of just like you want to tell your sister and you're just like don't do it, you know, or with your mom, you know, I'm like, oh, did you ever have that when he did X, Y, and Z?
Not even just in terms of lashon hara, but it's even complicated emotionally because you're gonna bring your mom
Exactly.
so much into something that you're going to forget about.
Exactly. Exactly. And I always say when you say something about someone, you will never see that person the same ever again, no matter what. I remember I was talking to a friend the other day and I was telling her like, "Oh, I love this rabbi, whatever." And she was like, "Oh, you know what he did?" And I was like, "Don't tell me." She didn't tell me, but just the fact that she said that, I was already like, it was hard for me to watch his shiurim again. And I love him. It's so hard, and I'm like, oh, what did he do wrong? Like, is he sincere now in his shurim? Is he? It's very very dangerous. It's very dangerous. Even to mention, oh, you know what? I can't say anything about her. It's lashon hara. You're like, okay, well, you know, like you already see it bad. You already there's already something there. It's already lashon hara. Like when you see someone. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm not gonna say something bad about her. But then it's like, okay, what was the bad thing, right? And then your imagination runs wild. So I think it's almost even worse. So, anyways,
Can I just add one?
yeah,
Sometimes we all end up in this situation where our heart is so filled with questions and we know we can't really like speak to someone else about it. Maybe we already went either to a therapist, to a rab, or someone like that. You know that it's going to be like a very safe space. But you know what? There's always like a Baruch Hu to turn to, and you're never saying any lashon hara to him because it's not going to you. So you can express yourself to him, like, and somehow like it really helps you so much because what you need is just to talk about it. Like, so go out on your balcony, speak with Akadosh Baruch Hu, and it alleviates your heart so much. Sometimes you just feel, I feel a relief. And he can do something about it. And he can maybe also like, you can also ask him like, can you please give me clarity in this situation? There's for sure there was something that brought him to do this or say that, and somehow like it, to me, it helped me to know.
Yeah, with your explanation, now we have to talk with him every time Mara is coming and you are the one who is
yeah,
telling me that,
exactly.
so talk to
Exactly.
Hashem and that's
Another thing also, because I know some people feel awkward like just talking in the air, you know. My husband always tells me like when I'm like angry at him, like about to say something, he's like, write it down, write it down. And I'm like, I'm so pissed, my husband did this, you know, but like I'm talking about it, he knows, you know, I'm like upset. And I write it down and it helps so much to journal your day and you're just taking everything out on paper and it doesn't sit here anymore. It's very, very stress relieving. Um, or I'm just sharing this so she can pray for her, like to be careful because she has a really, I don't know, a really bad personality. You know, like I'm just sharing this because people need to pray for her well-being. Like it's so sad. People actually talk like that. Like I'm just saying this because it's to help her because she's losing her mind, you know, like there are people who really justify it and it's not, unfortunately it's not them, it's either the need to maybe they have low self-esteem, so the need to bring themselves higher than people, or just the Yetzer Hara saying, oh, it's not a big deal, it's just you're trying to help her, you're trying to get her therapy, right?
good things too, no?
Yes, sometimes because it can bring to saying that. It's like saying, you know, she looked so pretty the other day. And they're like, really? I thought you see how quickly it gets to bad. Like you could just see something so simple, like, oh, she looked so good. Oh, really? I thought she like gained weight. So it's like it's very quickly it can transform to bad. Um, I'm happy for her. I just think it's a lot. She always gets everything so easily. You know, like I'm happy for her, but it's always like that. We think it's like, you know, it's like something good. It started good, but then it's like you're going on and on and on. And so the Yetzer Hara makes you think that it's a good intention, which for some people, really, most of the time, it's pure intentions, but then it becomes Lashon Hara and it tarnishes someone's name. And then you also have in Avodat Hashem, Okay, so I'll start praying properly once the kids are older, when the house is calmer, when the house is cleaner, when I have a nanny and I have less stuff to do, I'll be able to pray to Hashem. The Yetzer Hara rationalizes everything, and it's so easy to fall into it because it makes sense. You're like, okay, I'm tired. Like the kids just got to school. I just did a Pesach for 2 weeks. I was cooking nonstop. Leave me alone with the prayers right now. I just want to like time for myself. No, the Yetzer Hara really knows how to persuade you. Okay, Hashem understands. He knows what I'm going through right now. I don't need to go to shul. I don't need to, for men it could be. I don't need to put on tefillin. I don't need to, do it for the do today. I don't need to do a bracha on the water. I just leave me alone. Like I'm in a bad state right now. That happens a lot, by the way, when we have challenges and we feel like Hashem abandons us. So we're kind of like more distant with him, and we're like, okay, I don't need to pray today. I don't need to listen to Shil Torah. I'm not going to go to the Midrashat on Wednesday. I'm not in the mood. Just like going through a lot. It's very easy to say that. And I'm sure everybody, the people that are not able to come to Midrashat for whatever reason, it's the Yetzer Hara persuades. I just had a baby. I'm tired. The baby's crying nonstop. I can't. Which totally, it makes sense. Of course, like it's reasonable for someone to get a break for sure. But I'm saying the Yetzer Hara is very, very smart, and we have to be able to know when it's pure and when it's he's trying to manipulate us, right? I do so much for everyone else. Taking care of myself is also a mitzvah. For sure, self-care is important and often neglected, especially when we have a lot of kids and which is very busy, but the Yetzer Hara uses this as a blank check, right? Covering decisions that have nothing to do with renewal, right? Like, oh, I need a break today. Like I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna sit at home and do nothing. Okay, but if you're just scrolling on your phone, you could have like been learning something in a book, right? So we have to be able to channel that energy. So um another example, which I want to say I'm gonna end with this. I think yeah, to end. A lot of people, when I do like a challah bake, they hate this part when I like put songs, like music, and then I'm like, we're gonna light the candles, we're gonna turn off the lights, and then my sister goes, and then she doesn't like it. She's extremely spiritual, but she doesn't like the whole like turning off the lights and music. It's very like dramatic for her, right? So for her, she's like, oh, I don't like this. For some people, it's a genuine connection with Hashem. Like for me, I cannot connect with Hashem without like having some sort of music. Like when I do my challah every week, I always put like a Jewish music or something, like it helps me connect. For some people it doesn't, but it could also be her yetzel saying like, oh, this again. It's so like what's that word? Cringy. It's so like cringy. It's like uncomfortable, seeing people cry. And she told me it makes me feel uncomfortable. Like I'm not gonna cry in front of everyone.
Meditating is uncomfortable.
Meditating?
Yeah, like just like being quiet with your thoughts and like I think
a lot of people are very scared to be with their thoughts. It's true. Yeah. So it could be like, I'm not a spiritual person. This kind of connection is not for me, right? But you could be very, very spiritual, but just you have to channel it in a way where you can connect in a different way. So for her, maybe it's not through a siddur, but you can still speak to Hashem, right? A lot of people tell me I don't read Hebrew. I don't know how to read Hebrew. I'm like, okay, you can still pray without reading Hebrew, right? The Yetzer really gets you in the best of ways, and it's the right answer. I don't speak Hebrew. I can't read from a siddur. Okay, but you could still pray. So the Yetzer Hara doesn't invent a new voice. It's a part of us. It borrows the voices that we already trust, and it turns them against each other. And that is why the Torah, as tavlin, as a spice, is the only answer. It's not a rule that blocks the thought. It doesn't, when you study Torah, it's not going to stop the Yetzer from coming. It's going to help it. It's going to channel it, but it's going to be an inner transformation so deep that you can hear the voice, but you'll recognize who that voice belongs to. Is it really you, or is it the Yetzer Hara trying to manipulate you? And it becomes clearer and clearer the more we integrate Torah in our life. Okay, so I'm going to end here, and then we'll do the next one. B'ezrat Hashem. I didn't do the handouts today, though. Raquel, how was your